Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game. Also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to cue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome, one and all. I appreciate you all so much for joining me on this magical today. Today, I thought we could talk about how we can make our existence even more magical, because everything is possible. And the only reason why things seem impossible is because we're stuck in our humanness. And we have this whole grand, big, huge, humongous aspect of ourselves that knows that anything is possible. It's just that most of us aren't listening to it. And so today I thought we could talk about how we can listen to it, how we can listen to our spirit. I've been talking about listening to our spirit for a while now. I'm not sure how often I talk about actually how we do that. How do we listen? Oftentimes, when we hear psychics, intuitives, empaths, whatever it may be, when we hear them talk about their experience, how they see, how they hear, how they feel, it sounds like, and we perceive it as, it's something tangible. It's something we can actually put our finger on, like, I see this. Well, for me, I know personally, when I psychically see something, when I have a vision, it's in my mind's eye. And this is how it works for everyone, that it's in my mind's eye. And for me, it's very subtle and often very fuzzy and unclear. Now, for some, it can be even more clear, or depending on how strong the message is, it can be even more clear, the vivid image. Yet, everyone will experience that differently, but it's always in the mind's eye, like a dream-like picture. We're not seeing anything behind the eyelids or out there in the material world, although that is possible as well. But when we talk about visions and psychic visions, these are very subtle, very unclear, very dream-like mind's eye pictures. So there is never anything to actually put our finger on. It's this process of learning to trust these visions, learning to trust this picture that popped into our minds, and we don't necessarily understand why this memory just popped up or why that picture of that thing is in my mind. Well, that's a message from the intuition. Our intuition is always speaking to us each and every single day. And when we start to pay attention to these subtle things like the memories, the pictures, the songs, the ideas, the things that come up at certain moments when we're thinking certain things or going through something during the day, these are all things to pay attention to. When someone is psychically hearing something, oftentimes it sounds like our own voice inside our head. When it's more of like a mediumship thing, then it'll sound like someone else's voice. And I can only talk from personal experience how I hear, but when I'm hearing someone who has crossed over and I know that person especially, I don't think I've ever actually talked to anyone who's crossed over that I don't know, because mediumship is not necessarily my thing, although I can do it because they do talk to me. And I've heard my mom and I've heard one of my uncles very clearly in each one of their own voices. So I distinctly know that it is them. But when I talk to my higher self and when I hear my higher self guidance and communication, that just sounds like the voice inside my head. It doesn't really sound very much different, although there is a subtle difference. This subtle difference for me, and again, everybody is different, but everyone will have a subtle difference because we have a left brain and a right brain. We have a devil on one side and an angel on the other. And so we have these two sides of our brain that are consistently communicating with us. Although that left side, that devil side, that conscious mind side, that human side is going to be the one that's more fearful, the one that's negating, the one that's doubting, the one that's not trusting. It's the devil. It's the one that wants to keep us in the shadow. And it's also, for me, has been one of my greatest teachers. For example, doubt in terms of intuition has been one of my greatest teachers because I went through a process of doubt, not understanding how this communication worked, how it came through. I thought it had to be more solid, not as subtle as it is. When I heard people talking about how they experienced it and how it came in for them, I thought, well, I can't do that. That's not how it works for me. Well, I just misunderstood. And I think so many of us are misunderstanding how our intuition comes to us. So, for example, I played a few weeks back a past life regression session that Sarah Breskman Cosme did on me at the Stairway to the Stars Disclosure Fest event. During that regression, I can tell you that what I feel during it is that I am just saying these first thoughts that come to my mind, describing these simple pictures that come that in my mind mean absolutely nothing, especially at first. And as I continue to describe it, then the picture becomes more clear, the emotions come in, and you go deeper as you stay in these pictures. And this is one of the tricks. If you want to quiet that devil side of the mind, you stay in the side where the pictures are. This is a very, very big piece, and this is why many meditation techniques will teach visualization. Because by using the breath and visualization, we will naturally, those two very, very simple things, we will naturally enter into a deep state of relaxation where that conscious mind side is just more quiet because we're focused on a picture, we're focused on our breath, and that's the other side. That's the right side. That's the imagination. And the right side is where the intuition comes from. So it's always going to feel like we're making it up. I can tell you that even when I'm doing this on stage in front of 100 people, I feel like I'm just making this up. Just feels like a picture that's coming up in my mind, and it never feels any different. The feeling that's different is outside of it. It's afterwards. It's looking back on, oh, yeah, I was pretty out. I can't see it like I saw it then unless I really try to imagine it. I can't feel it like I felt it then unless I go back and listen to the actual recording. Then I can put myself back in it. But I couldn't muster up all of that stuff in a conscious state. There's no way. I had to stay in those pictures and allow my imagination to just run wild.
Before we continue on with today's episode, for those of you interested in getting more fantastic fungi in your life, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about a friend of mine's brand new company, The Great Mother. Recently, I have been drinking the Great Mother's superfood mushroom coffee alternative called Ritual, as well as regularly taking their awesome ally microdoses, and I am truly loving both. As you probably know, these days, many of the world's highest achievers and performers swear by microdosing. The problem is it can still be difficult to get a hold of magic mushrooms. That's why when my friend reached out, who lives in an area and country where legalization is not a problem like it was in the past, and said he'd be willing to offer microdoses to my listeners, I wanted to pass the word along. Ally microdoses are 100% organic. And in addition to a small amount of the magic active ingredient, they also contain functional mushrooms like lion's mane, cordyceps, chaga, and other brain boosters like bacopa. Ally is essentially a full spectrum nootropic. And of course, the coffee alternative ritual doesn't contain magic mushrooms, but it has an array of the best organic functional mushrooms in the world. And, with functional mushrooms, it's really important to get them from the highest integrity sources. And whereas some other highly popular mushroom coffee alternatives on the market only contain a few varieties of functional mushrooms in their actual ingredients, Ritual has seven. Not only does it contain more types, it also contains 3 to 4 times the amount that the big brands have in each serving, and it tastes amazing. I actually like to have it on its own as well as mixing it into my coffee sometimes as well. However, since this is definitely a unique offering, there are a few steps. First, just reach out and request to follow the private page, The Great Mother on Instagram. Once you've been accepted to follow, just message what you're interested in getting and someone will get back to you.
Now, when we're speaking to our higher selves, and this is something I tell my clients all of the time, when I ask to speak to your higher self, I am not asking for a collective to come in and possess you while you go and put yourself to sleep somewhere in a corner. What's actually happening is I'm asking for permission to speak to your inner being. That's it. Permission to speak to your inner being. You say yes, and you tell me the very first thing that comes to mind. Because when we get in this deep state where we're in these pictures, we're in that right side of the brain, then our channel to our intuition is very clear. It's very concise. And so when we say the very first thing that pops into our mind, that is the answer. That is always the answer. Our higher selves, our collective of us, that bigger aspect of us is always with us and is us, inside of us, in our inner being, and, in that outer macro collective as well, always guiding us, watching over us, giving us messages, symbols, dreams, synchronicities, songs, numbers, all of the ways our higher selves are constantly speaking to us each and every day, all the time. And each and every single one of us is intuitive. Maybe you've heard me say this before. I say this a lot. There is not a single person who is born into this existence that does not have the gift of intuition. We all have it. It would be a really cruel joke to completely cut us off. Yes, we're veiled. Yes, it's confusing. And yeah, we have to kind of peer through this veil and get the cracks open and pull it open and just get through it as much as we can. But we do that by working, meaning practice. Little things. Start little by little, trusting yourself, trusting the pictures, trusting the thing that you heard first in your mind, trusting the thing that excites you. This is the one thing that we cannot make up. Can't make it up at all. We can't make up our feelings. If something is exciting to us, if it makes us happy, if it makes us sad, if it makes us feel resistance, then we know the answer. If we just listen to our feelings a little more. I'm going to give you a really simple example that I just did last night. Very, very simple. And what I like about this very, very simple example is that anyone can do this. There's no emotional attachment to it. And it's a great way to start practicing trusting your intuition, trusting your feelings. So we were deciding last night what to order for dinner. Again, like I said, very simple. And I live in an area where there are about 40 different options within 5 miles. I can literally pick anything. I live in a city, so there's anything I could possibly want or desire to eat. So oftentimes that can get a little confusing. What do I want for dinner if we're going to order out? I can have anything. Well, the first place that popped into my mind made me smile so big, ear to ear, that I was like, ooh, that place. And then my left brain came in and said, well, then there's this place and then there's that place, or you could have this, that. And none of those things made me smile ear to ear. And I thought to myself, what am I doing? I have my answer. This one, the very first one, the very first thing that came to mind is my answer because this is the one, A, that first came to mind, and B, the one that's lighting me up inside, the one that's making this huge smile across my face about food. Yeah. So if food is going to make you that excited, follow that feeling. Anything that makes you that happy, feel that excited inside, makes a smile come across your face, go for it. Go do that thing. If the opposite is happening, if you feel resistance, if it feels sad and lonely, again, another example. I had a bright idea to book myself a couple nights up in Sedona for my birthday. I thought this will be wonderful. I've been really looking forward to some quiet time alone. I'll go for my birthday. I'll go up to Sedona. I'll go have a spa day. I'll do all these things. Well, so I booked this little cottage. And now I'm thinking to myself, this doesn't sound fun at all. This doesn't light me up inside. I feel like I'm going to feel a little lonely going up to Sedona by myself on my birthday. Why'd I do that? So I'm going to cancel it because I'm not excited about it. I can go up there whenever I want. I live very close. I can do this at any time. It doesn't need to be on a day where I'd rather maybe be with my children, my family instead. Maybe have a spa day at home. I don't need to go very far. So that lights me up. That makes me feel happy. So I'm going to do that instead. If we force the things that we think we need to do, maybe to please another or because we said we were going to and all these things are lined up, well, then we might not really enjoy ourselves. We might pay for it in a way that we're not too excited about. And we could be having a lovely time doing the thing that actually made us feel happy and excited. So following the fun, following the passion, following the feelings. When you're meditating, and hopefully you're meditating, because this is so humongous and I can't believe I didn't start with this, meditation is the number one way that we can all get in touch with our intuition. If we're not practicing in this way each and every day, then the feeling of communicating with our inner being, with our higher self, is going to feel more crunchy. It's not going to feel so easy. It's not going to be as understandable because we're not sitting and working with it. We're not quieting our mind. And when I say quiet the mind, it doesn't mean shut it off. This is another big misconception that most of us have about meditation. It's not about shutting off the mind and having no thoughts at all. Like I said, one of the best meditation practices is visualization. And in order to keep a visualization, you have to think about something. You have to focus on that thing. And you're using your mind to think about that thing. Yes, it is a single, simple focus, but you're still using your mind. Your mind is on. You're using that right side, using the imagination side. That's the side you want to stay on because that's the side where the intuition speaks to you from. We want to quiet the left side, the conscious mind, the human brain that's always fighting, negating, doubting the devil side. We quiet that mind in meditation, not the whole mind, the left side. And maybe that's an easier way for you to think about it so it doesn't get so frustrating that you're not able to shut off your whole mind. Your whole mind will never shut off because it needs to keep your body alive. So it will always be on and there will always be thoughts. So get over that, sit and breathe, and focus on a single point of visualization. Maybe it's a flame, maybe it's a tree, whatever makes you happy, whatever is easy, whatever you can see in your mind, switch it up. You know, when we go to sleep at night and there's that old thing of counting sheep. And what do you do when you count sheep? You see the pictures. You see the sheep jumping over that little thing, whatever you call that little thing. And the sheep are going and you're counting them. Counting's not actually the best thing to do. It's kind of counterproductive to the picture because the counting thing is going to keep you in that thinking side. So just the pictures alone, just do the sheep, see the pictures. Because what happens, this state, this very relaxed state, we're all in this very connected state twice a day, each and every day, without thinking about it, without knowing into it, without knowing it, and we go into it very naturally. What I mean is, right before we fall asleep and right as we wake up in the morning. Right as we're waking up in the morning, we have a very clear dream. We think we're wide awake and we're going to remember it for the rest of the day. And you will swear to me all day up and down, I'm wide awake. But then you get up and start moving around and all of a sudden the dream is gone. And what happened? What happened to the dream? It's because you weren't wide awake, but it felt 100% wide awake. And that state doesn't feel any different from being able to see the dream and being up for real, moving around, feels the same, wide awake. Same thing when we're going to bed at night and we're laying there in bed and we think, I might start counting sheep because I'm not falling asleep. Well, starting to see those sheep, to create the picture in our brain as we're falling asleep, will actually help us fall asleep because it puts us in that in between. It turns on that right side. And when we do that, when we stay in the pictures, this is where we're connected. It's the last thing that happens right before we fall asleep is the pictures come. So if we induce the pictures, we can help ourselves fall asleep. With the work that I do, I help people stay in that state by consistently talking to them. Imagine when you woke up in the morning and you had this clear dream, and you didn't open your eyes, and you laid there, and say you had someone there with you in bed, and you could tell that person your dream. And that person could then ask you questions and continue to ask you questions while you laid there with your eyes closed. You could essentially give yourself a session if the person there with you knew the right questions to ask you. And you were able to wake up at the same time and do all of that. It's that simple. Meditation every single day can get you into this space very easily. And the more we practice it, the more we understand it, and the more we're able to get our answers and trust ourselves. Listen to our spirit. Listen to our feelings. Listen to our body. Our body is a huge messenger. If there's anything going on in the body ever, ask it what the message is. Talk to the body. What are you trying to tell me? And trust the very first thing that comes. We have all of this within us. It is very, very simple. It is very subtle. And oftentimes we can get so confused. This is our humanness. So it just takes a little practice. Practice with those little things like, where am I going to eat tonight? Practice with waking up in the morning and staying in that state if you can. Practice meditating, breathing, holding a visualization every single day. If you have a question you want answered, ask it before you go to bed. Ask, can I have a dream that will help me to understand the answer to this question and help me remember it? That's a big one. And help me remember it. Don't forget to ask for help. This help is all around us. If we need help listening to our intuition, then ask for help listening to your intuition. Send me a sign. Send me a synchronicity. Help me understand. The more we reach out, it's like we get showered upon. It's such a beautiful thing, the way this universe works. And I think that's going to be it for me today, everyone. Before I go, I'll remind you, the Conscious Life Expo coming up in February 9th through the 12th at the LAX Hilton. Very much looking forward to this event. Tons of wonderful speakers. Bashar, Elizabeth April, Linda Moulton Howe, Sarah Bressman Cosme, just to name a few. Go check that out at theconsciouslifeexpo.com, and I will see you there. I'm going to leave you with this song for today by Ayla Nario, Turning Wake. Until next time, I love you all.
Turning you a bent bone, weary wandering soul, and born upon a body you can never own. Rolling you along, bent sideways, tumbling a mother giving loom. You knew it when you flew in, shuttling. Weaver, you are gold bent, but do your strings hold the strength of what was given when you flew in? Burning your own home. Some days could you live a little lighter, give a little water, give a little eye to eye, see from what you make. Got a little shadow in your wake. Waking is the way you grow this. Know this, got a matter to be paid, meant giving it away. This the truth we're being shown, told is all we've ever known. What another truth you gonna hide, baby? Finding that you're choosing every moment, looking through the frame they're giving you. From the fear, a stand for the free, a song for the beat down, picking up steam. You will hear my voice here singing. There's a lead from the greed, a gift for the kind. I'll be dancing with the ones who of the known. You've known it from before your sight was shown, shifted, and they told you not to talk of this. But you remember in your sleep all the ones that you could see, raising candles to the sky, through the forest dark as night. Wide-eyed, keep stride, this the path you're being shown. Sure thing, keep singing to the ones you're walking on. They the wonder, you the stars they look upon. You are clouds to them, giving harm or giving form. Do we greet them with our grace? Do we run or do we face the ones who helping us to heal our choice and choose again? Cause there's a turn from the fear, a stand for the free, a song for the beat down, picking up steam, and you will hear my voice here singing. There's a lead from the green, a gift for the kind. I'll be dancing with the ones who remind me we are born of dust and silence. We are made of ancient soul, and there are ones who keep us sleeping, and there are ones who bring the dawn. Put your back to the porch and your mind to the mother of a listening hideaway. We are born of dust and silence. We are made of ancient soul. Born of ancient soul. Bade farewell, all you've been told. Waves are rising, you to shore. It's not what you say, what you think. It's a walk in the way that you do. So you give what you give, what you give, what you give, what you can, what you give. Give what you give, what you are, what you give, what you give, what you can, what you give, what you are, what you can. You will hear my voice here singing. What you can, what you give what you are. I'll be dancing with the ones who remind me. What you can, what you are, give what you want. I'll be dancing with the ones who remind me. We are born of dust and silence. We are made of ancient soul, and there are ones who keep us sleeping, and there are ones who bring the dawn. Put your back to the porch and your mind to the mother of a listening night away. We are born of dust and silence. We are made of ancient soul.